So, let's just jump right in. For what feels like forever, the world of PC gaming graphics has really been a two-horse race, right? A battle between a couple of giants we all know. But what happens when a totally new player decides to step into that ring? Today, that's exactly what we're looking at. A brand new contender from China, the Lisuantech 7G106.
I mean, we all know the big names. For decades, they've been the ones setting the standards, defining the tech that we all use. And, it is a notoriously tough club to break into, which honestly makes any new challenger's attempt absolutely fascinating to watch.
And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Is there actually space for a new GPU to not just, exist, but to actually compete, to carve out its own slice of the pie? Well, a deep tech startup called Lisuantech seems to think so.
So let's meet the star of this explainer, the 7G106. Now, this isn't just another graphics card, it's a homegrown challenger. And it's been designed specifically with that massive Chinese PC gaming market in mind. But it might have ambitions that go way beyond that.
This quote right here, it gets to the absolute heart of their strategy. See, instead of chasing the highest end, most graphically insane crown, they're focusing on the mainstream. The goal here is to build a card that gives a great gameplay experience to the biggest audience possible, putting fun way ahead of just flashy effects.
Even the name itself tells a story. In Chinese, 7G sounds a lot like their word for miracle. And that just speaks volumes, doesn't it? It says so much about the team's ambition and the huge, huge challenge of building a modern GPU completely from scratch. You can tell they see this as a pretty monumental achievement. And hey, if you're finding this breakdown interesting and you want to see more explainers on cool new tech like this, please think about liking this and subscribing to the channel. It really helps us bring more of this content to you.
All right, let's pop the hood and really see what makes this so-called miracle GPU tick. We're going to move on from the philosophy and get right down to the silicon itself.
So, first thing you need to know, this is not a copy. It is not a clone of something else. Lisuantech developed their own true GPU architecture, and they did it from the ground up. This is their design, tailored for their goals, with modern gaming in mind from day one.
Now, taking a look at the core specs, you can see this thing is built on a very modern foundation. It's using TSMC's 6nm process, which is totally contemporary. It supports key stuff like DirectX 12 and Vulkan, and with 12 gigs of GDDR6 memory on a 192-bit bus, that's a really solid configuration for today's mainstream gaming.
And here is a big number for you, 24 TFLOPS. That's its FP32 compute performance. Now, in simple terms, that's just a measure of the GPU's raw number crunching power. It gives us a pretty good idea of its potential, and it puts it firmly in the modern performance category.
So, the card supports the modern DirectX 12 API, which is great, but it's really important to point out that it does not support DirectX 12 Ultimate. For most of us, the key difference there is hardware-accelerated ray tracing. The 7G10-6 completely opts out of that feature, and that's a very deliberate choice that just reinforces their whole strategy. Focus on strong core performance, not on the most demanding, flashy visual effects.
But this is where the story gets really interesting, because while this GPU is being pitched to gamers, it's actually hiding some incredibly powerful features that go way beyond just playing the latest games.
For starters, its media engine is surprisingly beefy. It can decode 8K video at a super smooth 60 frames per second using the latest AV1 codec. Plus, it also supports hardware encoding in both AV1 and HEVC. This makes it a real powerhouse, not just for watching movies, but for content creators who need that efficient encoding.
But you know what? That's not even the biggest surprise. This chip has a feature that you would almost never expect to see on a consumer gaming card. This is something that's usually reserved for super high-end data center hardware. It's called SRIOV. What it does is it lets a single physical GPU be split up and shared securely among up to 16 different virtual machines. Now, this is a huge deal for things like cloud computing and enterprise servers, and, well, finding it on a gaming card is incredibly unusual, and honestly, it's very forward-thinking.
Okay, so the specs are interesting, and the features are definitely surprising. But how does it actually perform? Well, Lisuantech gave us our very first glimpse at their launch event, putting the silicon through its paces for the first time. Let's look at the numbers. In 3D Mark Firestrike, which is a really popular gaming benchmark, it pulled a score of 26,800 points. And then in the Geekbench OpenCL compute test, it hit over 111,000. These are pretty solid initial figures that give us a real concrete starting point for its performance.
But synthetic benchmarks are one thing.
And real-world gaming is something else entirely. So to really show what it could do, they had it running the super hyped game Black Myth Wukong at 1080p. And the crucial part, it was delivering smooth, playable frame rates. This is the kind of practical proof that gamers actually want to see.
Okay, now as exciting as all of this sounds, we have to put it in perspective. It is very, very early days for the 7G101. There is still a long, long road ahead before this thing ever sees a store shelf.
Just take a look at this timeline. The company only got their hands on the very first test version of this chip back in late May. So what we're seeing now, these are the first ever public demos of that initial piece of silicon. This is literally step one of a much, much longer journey.
And what that means is that all the most important details, they're still completely up in the air. We have no idea what the final clock speeds will be, we don't know how much power it's going to draw, and maybe most importantly, we have absolutely no clue what it's going to cost. And those are the details that will make or break this thing.
Which of course brings us right back to our big question. Lesuan has definitely built something genuinely new and surprising, with a smart market strategy and some really powerful unexpected features. But the journey from a promising first demo to a product on a shelf is a long one. So, what do you think? Can this new David really challenge the Goliaths of the industry? Only time is going to tell.